Hi everyone, it's Louise from Louloupurple. Today I'm going to be doing a magazine image transfer on my gel plate. So my gel plate is still very new to me, and I found out that distress paints don't work very well on the gel plate unless you use a matte medium with them. So I have gone ahead and got myself some studio acrylics, and I'm going to be using these today on my gel plate. Just to let you all know that I have ordered some larger tubes of these acrylic paints. They will take about 3 weeks to arrive in my shop because I've ordered the display stand as well. So hopefully they will be here soon. To start with, I'm going to be using the Payne's Grey colour, which is a dark blue, and I'm just using my brayer to spread the paint across the gel plate. I then place the magazine image onto the paint and give this a good rub down and then pull the image. Now with this one I actually had someone come into the shop, so I had to stop what I was doing. So I don't know if it's because I left it on too long or I didn't put enough paint on, but here I am just adding another layer of the Payne's Grey, putting the magazine image down, rubbing it down and then pulling it off, and this time it has worked. Hurrah! So I'm going to use a piece of scrap paper just to get some of the blue off where I don't want it to be, and I'm going to let this layer dry completely before putting on a layer of yellow paint. So this layer has to be quite thin, so just make sure you put the paint on and then take some off. Put your paper on and hope for the best, and hopefully as my first magazine pull this will work, which it does, which is not bad for a first attempt. Well, second attempt because the first one failed. So here I'm putting the Payne's Grey on again and just using my brayer to get that paint all over the gel plate, and this time I'm using a different image and I'm just again rubbing it down and then pulling it off. And that is another fail, so let's try again, putting the Payne's Grey paint onto my gel plate with my brayer, adding the magazine image and just rubbing it down and then hoping for the best. Yay, this one's worked. So next I'm going to add, well, I'm going to let that dry first and then I'm going to add some of the yellow over the top. And remember, this layer needs to be quite thin, so put your paint on and take some off. Putting my card over the top, rubbing it down and then pulling it off. As you can see, this one worked out quite well. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to use my smaller gel plate, and I'm using a Tim Holtz stencil. I think this is Lacy Flowers or Lacy Doilies, something like that. And I'm going to use some orange paint, which I will apply with my brayer through the stencil. I then remove the stencil in a moment, and I'm going to use my gel plate like a stamp. I then just trimmed down the sides of the card, and as my first magazine image transfer project, I think that's not too bad. So moving on to another image, I'm just again using the Payne's grey, which is a dark blue, and I'm just applying this with my brayer. I'm laying down the magazine and just rubbing it down really well, and then pulling the magazine off. And this one again has worked. She's just got a blob of paint on her forehead, so I'm just wiping that off. You then let the paint dry completely before adding another vibrant colour over the top. This is actually a pink, even though it doesn't look like it on the screen. And just make sure that this layer is quite thin, and then place my card over the top, rub it down, and then pull it off. And hopefully you can see that. That one's worked quite well, not too bad. So for my third image, I'm actually going to show you this at normal speed so that you know exactly how long the process takes. So here I'm using the Payne's Grey acrylic paint with my brayer, and I'm just applying this paint all over the gel plate. I then place the magazine image onto my gel plate and smooth it out. Get another piece of paper and just rub this down. I then pull the magazine page from the gel plate. This one has worked quite well. You then need to leave this layer to dry completely. Once this layer has completely dried, I then use a yellow paint, and I'm going to use my brayer again to apply the paint across my gel plate. Just remember, with this layer of paint, you want it quite thin, so get the paint onto your gel plate and use your brayer to smooth it all over. Once you have good coverage of your paint over your gel plate, you can then use a scrap piece of paper on the side to remove some of the paint from the brayer, which will give you a thinner layer of paint on your gel plate. So then you just put your card on. I'm using a scrap piece of paper over the top just to burnish it all down. I then pull the cards away from the gel plate. So I can see here that some of the paint is still on the gel plate, so I'm just going to push that down and give it a good rub again to see if I can pick up some more of that paint. And again, that one is not too bad as well. So here I'm going to be using some new woodware stencils that I have in the shop. This one is called Diamond Mesh. I will leave a link in the description to all the products that I've used. I am using the white titanium paint, and I'm using my blending tool with a sponge on the end to apply the paint through the stencil. My second stencil is another new one from Woodware. This one is called Dissolving Mesh. I'm just going to leave that layer of paint to dry and move on to my second image with another new stencil. This one is called Metal Mesh and it is from Woodware. And again, I'm using the white titanium paint with my blending tool. And my fourth new stencil is called Broken Mesh. This again is from Woodware. I'm using the new Andy Skinner stamp called Enigma, and I'm going to use my black archival ink to stamp this image onto my art journal page. And as you can see, that's a really great start. My image is slightly wonky, so it doesn't really matter. I just need to make all the other images wonky as well, and no one will know the difference, so shh, don't tell anyone. So at some point here I managed to drop the stamp onto my journal page and it's a bit of a mess, so I'm trying to cover it up here and not doing a very good job, so I decided to use some white titanium just to try and get the black ink to push back into the background. I'm going to use my Vintage Photo Distress ink and I'm using my blending tool and just going around the outside edge of my images. So I hope this video shows you that we all make mistakes and it doesn't really matter. You can either try and cover it up like I did with the white paint, or you can leave it for another day and come back to it, or just throw it away. As long as you play with your products and have fun, that's the main thing. I have some customers that tell me that they are too scared to use some products because they are frightened that they will make a mistake. So I tell them I always make mistakes. If you don't try and play around with your products, you will never have the confidence to use it. So start a project that isn't going to be anything and give yourself permission to play and to make mistakes. It is the best way to learn how your products work and to gain confidence in your artwork and your crafting. I'm using my jet black archival ink again, and the stamp is from the Paper Artsy Stamps EEG 15. This is another Paper Artsy stamp set. This is EEG 13. If you would like to buy any of the products I've used in this video, they will be listed on my website blog post. I will leave a link in the description box below this video. I hope you've enjoyed watching this video. If you have, please give me a thumbs up or leave me a comment, and don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Click on the bell icon so you never miss a new video. Links to my website, Facebook and more will be in the description box below, or click on the end cards at the end of this video. Thanks again for watching, and I hope you got inspired.